Okay, it is 3 o'clock, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to this week's edition of Tech Tips Live. Tech Tips Live is a 15-minute weekly series where we're going to be sharing information about tools and services, how-tos, and innovative ways to incorporate technology into your workflow here at K-State. The series will run for about 15 minutes, and it'll also run for 15 weeks. So make sure you tune in every week on Wednesday at 3 p.m. to stay on top of technology at K-State. It will be the same meeting ID for every meeting, and we will have it posted on the website. Let me scroll down. So this is the Tech Tips website that we have created. This is where upcoming sessions are going to be listed. This is also where you will be able to find the recordings of each session after the fact. There will be time for question and answer at the end of today's session, but you can also type in your questions through the chat box if you'd like. I have a couple other people monitoring the chat for me, so if something creeps up, Kathy, please feel free to interrupt me so I can answer questions right there, and then if it is a pressing question. My name is Shelly Troyer. I am the video conferencing coordinator here at iTech, and today I'm going to be talking about getting the most out of your Zoom meetings. Hopefully most people have joined a Zoom meeting before, and this is going to be mainly about things that a host can do to just make your meeting better. There's going to be 8 features that I'll talk about today. To basically just, like I said, make your meeting a little bit better, and they're all listed there, the meeting size, co-host. So we will we'll get to all these one at a time. The first topic I want to talk about is meeting size. This is more of an informational thing than a button that you actually have to press on to make your meeting better. So meeting size, it used to be 25 participants was the default meeting size. So yourself and 24 other participants can join into a meeting that you would host. Zoom has increased that number for everyone with a Zoom account. So now the default meeting size is 50 participants. So yourself as the host and 49 other participants can join into the same Zoom meeting. We do still have 4 large meeting licenses here on campus that allow you to go up to 100 participant meetings, and those are available upon request. I ask that you send me an email to reserve one of those licenses. You can still schedule meetings in advance as long as I give you the rights to those large meetings. Before your meeting starts, you can still schedule it way in advance. Okay, the first actual feature that I would like to talk about is the co-host feature. This would allow for 2 people to manage your meeting participants at the same time. So let's say your host would want to focus more on the presentation that they're giving and didn't really want to have to mute people's microphones or anything like that. You can assign one of your participants to act as a host, a co-host, to be able to control all those nice features. To use this feature, first you do have to have it turned on your profile page. So you can see over here on the right-hand side is a little screenshot of my profile. You have to make sure you find the co-host checkbox, make sure it's checked, and then save your changes to be able to use that. Once you start a meeting and you want to choose one of your participants to be your co-host, you would find them on the list under your Manage Participant button. And then find them, click on the More, and then make the co-host. For whatever reason, if you want to take those rights away sometime during the meeting, you would basically follow the same steps, find them under the Manage Participant list, and then take away the ability for them to be the co-host. The co-host, like I said, has all the same rights as the host would be able to do, like muting and muting people's microphones. They can lock the screen share, mute on entry, lock the meeting, stop video, remove someone from the meeting if that was needed, allow people to record, start attending on hold. The only thing that the co-host is not able to do, they can't actually end the meeting, and they cannot make other people a host. Only the true host of the meeting can do that. Okay, the next feature that I would like to talk about is the attendee on hold. This feature can be useful if you're having an interview or maybe a dissertation where you need either the interviewee or someone in your meeting to kind of step aside for a minute so that you can have a private conversation with the rest of the group and then be able to bring them back into the meeting very quickly. Once again, the attendee on hold feature does have to be enabled on your account, just like the co-host feature. You would go to the profile page, select the allow host to put attendee on hold checkbox, save your changes, and then very similar, like how we added the co-host, you would pull up your manage participants list, find that specific person who you wanted to put on hold, click on the more button, and then put that attendee on hold. When you're ready to bring them back into the meeting, you would do the same steps, find them on the list, click on the more button, and bring them back into the meeting. Okay, the next feature that I would like to talk about is the lock meeting feature. This one you don't have to specifically turn on or enable on your profile page. It's there for every meeting by default. To lock the meeting, you would want to pull up the Manage Participant box, as you see here, and at the bottom right hand of that box is a More button. Once you click on the More button, there is that lock meeting feature right there. I found that this feature can be very useful for virtual office hours. If an instructor wanted to hold virtual office hours and send the same meeting ID out to all the students to be able to join, but you wanted to have a private conversation with one of those students, you would allow them, once they get into the meeting, you would go down and lock that meeting, have that private conversation. So if any other students try to get into the meeting, they would be put kind of in a holding pattern. It would tell them waiting for a host to unlock this meeting. So then once you're done with the one student, you would unlock the meeting and allow for someone else to come in, and then do the same thing over again if you needed to continue having private conversations with your students. Okay, the next feature that we're going to talk about that not a lot of people know about is spotlighting a video and pinning a video. They're a little bit different, but they do similar things. A spotlight is something only the host can do. The host only has control to spotlight a video. What the spotlight does, it makes the participant that the host chooses be the primary active speaker for all the participants in a meeting. So if we had 50 or even 100 participants in this meeting right now, and I chose someone to be the spotlight speaker, then everyone would be seeing that person even if other people were talking. In a regular Zoom meeting, in active speaker mode, the video changes based upon who is talking. But with the spotlight feature, even if other people are talking, you still see that one spotlighted video. For the host to be able to spotlight someone, you would right-click on the video pane up here, and then select the spotlight video, and then that would make the spotlight on them. Same goes if you want to take that spotlight away, find them, right-click on their video, and then you would take the spotlight away. The pinning video feature is something that all participants in a meeting could do. It would only pin the video for their specific device. So it would choose the active speaker that they want to see and only change it on their device. If a host chooses to spotlight a video and someone wants to pin a different video, the host spotlight would trump over what the individual participant was trying to pin. So you can always, as the host, you still have a little bit more control. So same thing with pin or with spotlight, you find their video, right click, and then choose the pin video option instead of the spotlight video. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to talk about the muting controls that the host of a meeting can use to kind of help facilitate things and help run the meeting. If a host wants to mute everyone who is currently in the meeting, that's when you would use this Mute All button. You find the Mute All button under the Manage Participant pane. If you don't want to mute everybody in the meeting and only want to do individual participants, you can still find them on the list and be able to mute them individually. The third option for muting participants would be the Mute on Entry. Say your presentation has already started, but you think maybe some people are coming in late to the meeting and you don't want their audio to interrupt what is currently being talked about. You would use that Mute on Entry feature, which is found, you would have to click on the More, and then the Mute on Entry you will see right there. So that will mute everybody coming into the meeting. With the Mute on Entry feature, you do have the ability, it will ask you, do you want your participants to be allowed to unmute themselves? So if you don't want anyone to be able to unmute themselves, you as the host can take that ability away. So being the host, you obviously have a lot more control than your participants. Okay, the next feature that I want to talk about, and it's the newest feature that Zoom has to offer, is the breakout rooms. The breakout rooms allows for hosts to split a meeting in up to 50 different sessions. The host can choose to either have these sessions automatically assigned by Zoom, or they can manually do it and choose which participants they want in which breakout session. To use this feature, like many of the other features we've talked about here today, you do have to first make sure it is enabled on your Zoom profile page. It is this one right here, breakout session. As long as the checkbox is there and you've saved your changes, you'll be able to use that in your meeting. Everyone in the meeting must be running the current version of Zoom to be able to participate in the breakout session. So if I was running the most recent version of Zoom and some of my participants weren't, the participants who were not running the current version would not be able to take place in those breakout sessions. Okay, so the next slide has a little bit more information about those breakout rooms. So if I was the host and wanted to start a breakout session, I would come down to the bottom, click on the breakout session, and it would ask me, do I want to automatically or manually create these sessions? You choose one of those. If you do choose manually, you'll have more options to be able to find your participants and add them to a specific session. Let's see. If you chose the automatic creation, all you really have to do is select how many sessions you want it broken out into. So once you choose that, you'll have this other box here where you will actually have to go and launch the session to be able to have it start. Once you launch a session, this is what it will look like as a participant. So all your participants will be in a similar meeting than what we're in now. They will have the ability to screen share, talk to each other, see each other, chat with each other. They even have the ability to record without making the host allow them to record. So all the breakout sessions, anyone in those can record locally to their device. If one of those breakout sessions, if a participant has a question for the host, they can click on this button down here and ask for help, and that will send a message to the host saying someone in breakout room number 1, 2, 3, whichever session that they're in has a question, and then the host could join that session. Once the host does join that session, it looks kind of something like this. So this would be the host view. Once they go into a breakout session, you would be able to answer their question live, or even pull up your screen if you wanted to show them something. And then you could either leave that session and go back to the main page, or from a breakout session, you could stop all sessions. Either way, when you do stop all sessions, it will, within 30 seconds, it will bring everyone back into the main meeting. If students click on the little notification that says host is ending the breakout sessions, they can join sooner than the 30 seconds, but the 30 seconds is when it automatically puts people back into the main meeting. Okay, so the next feature that I want to talk about is the webinar feature. So all the previous things I've talked about so far had to do with a regular Zoom meeting. Webinar feature that Zoom has is something a little different than a regular meeting. The webinar feature allows for up to 25 panelists and 500 attendees to join a meeting. So the panelists are in a regular interactive Zoom meeting, and then the 500 attendees have a view-only link that they have a text question and answer box where they can send questions in, but they're not actually interacting within the meeting. Webinars allow for live polling, and then there's a bunch of reports that you can run after a webinar to see who attended, what questions were asked, how do people answer to the live polling questions, things like that. So really quickly, I'll show you kind of what it looks like for a webinar. This is what it would look like for those up to 500 attendees who are joining. They have the ability to pull up the question and answer box and send questions to all the panelists. They can send anonymously if they want to. And then as a panelist, you would see those questions coming in through the chat box. And each panelist can either select to answer those questions live during the presentation, or you can answer by text. Those text chats can be sent to the individual person who asked the question or to everybody who is looking at the chat box, similar to the chat feature during a regular meeting. Okay, so in summary, I know we talked about a lot of things in a short amount of time. We talked about meeting size, co-host, attendee on hold, all those other features. So at this point, I think I'm going to open it up for questions. Feel free to, like I said, send your questions in over the chat, or if you prefer to open up your microphone, you may do that too. So right now, I will open up my chat and see what questions I have missed. Okay, so I am just going to start at the beginning. Let's see. Can you have multiple co-hosts for breakout sessions? So for the breakout sessions, each session is still hosted by the original person, but it's just the participants, like they can't manage each other's audio or video settings. If in the main meeting, if you have a co-host, I have actually not tried that. So Sarah Keatley, I will get back to you on the specific availability of the co-host during the regular meeting, and I can actually post. We could probably have that answer posted on this tech tip page as well. Okay. Let's see. Let me look for some other questions here. Okay. If I have to set up a Zoom meeting for someone else, do I have to enable a Zoom meeting at the time and then make them the host, or can this be done beforehand? So yes, I didn't talk about that feature here today, but Zoom does have a schedule on someone else's behalf feature that you have to turn on your profile page. So let's say I had someone in my office who I wanted to give them the rights to be able to schedule on my behalf. I would have to do that on my profile page, and then when that person was scheduling a meeting, there will be a drop-down box that says, do I want to schedule this for myself, or do I want to schedule this for whoever has allowed me to schedule for them? So hopefully that answers that question. Let me scroll up a little bit. Do the large meeting licenses stay with one individual, or are they used one time and then granted to another person? Yes, they are used one time, and then I redistribute them to other people as needed. So if there are multiple dates that you need those large requests for, just put that in the email, or if you want to call me on the phone and tell me all those dates, that's fine. I keep a calendar, and basically if your time or your day is coming up, I will make sure to assign those rights to your account, and then I typically send an email out saying that I have done that. Okay, so let me go back up. Okay, I think I answered all the previous questions, so let me see if there are any other ones that have come in since then. And feel free, if anybody would like to ask a question live, you may unmute your microphone and do so.
Shelley, this is Rebecca. Did you see the one? Did you see the one about I want to see the participants' names when in the gallery view without mousing over the cells? Is that possible?
Okay, so each participant has the ability to show their name. So what I'm going to do is stop the share screen for a second, and then I'm going to go into gallery view. So I'm actually, without having a mouse over that, I can see it. So under your video settings, there is a checkbox. If you pull up your video settings, always show name on video window, and that should take care of being able to see everybody's name at the same time. Okay, now the last question that came in, do you suggest having participants stop their video? That all depends on what type of meeting that you're having. If you are having a very collaborative session where everybody is talking back and forth all the time, you might want to be able to see everybody. If it's more of a meeting where one person is doing most of the talking, the other people, not necessarily, they don't have to have their video on. I think it's more of a preference. Obviously, if you turn your video off, it does save a little bit on bandwidth. So if you're in a remote location that might not have that good of an internet connectivity, then you might want to turn your video off, and that could probably help make the meeting go a little bit smoother. So I think that should answer that question. Do we have any others? Okay, I am using a Mac and I cannot find the preference that you were talking about earlier. Okay, Sarah, if we're a little bit over time, if you would like to set up a meeting with me later or call me, I can help walk you through your individual preferences on your computer. Okay, so let me go ahead and start the screen share again. And I should have my contact information. Oops, sorry. Okay, so next week, and Sarah, sorry, I just saw this come on. Sarah, I will send you a chat before the meeting is over. Okay, so moving on. So back to the Tech Tips Live page. Next week, we will have another Tech Tips Live at Wednesday at 3 o'clock. And Mary Hamill from the College of Education will be talking about using Adobe Acrobat DC on the iPad with an Acrobat Pro license. And I believe Mary is still connected with us. So Mary, if you have any other details that you would like to share about that.
Thank you, Shelley. Yeah, I'll be talking about using the Acrobat Pro license that you can get through K-State with your Acrobat DC app on the iPad. So I'll kind of show briefly how you can edit, annotate, or comment, share, and export out to the Microsoft Word or Excel or PowerPoint, and be able to sign your documents all on the iPad. And a little bit about how to use the Adobe Document Cloud and the mobile link to connect your desktop app with your iPad and use your documents on both of them. So that's what I'll be talking about.
Excellent. Hopefully we have just as many people, if not more, show up for that. At this point, does anybody else have anything to add or any more questions that I can answer at this time? Don't be shy. Okay. Well, I think that's it for this Tech Tip series live. Like I said, if anybody has any questions later, feel free to contact me. My phone number is 532-3323, or you can email me at shelleytroyer@ksu.edu. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and hopefully everyone has a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.